Hey Daniel, alright, so here is your past life spread. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at where you were, what you did with the majority of your time there, an important day with the relationships and feelings involved, another important day, relations, feelings, the death cards over here, and then the lesson learned over here with hints of time throughout, okay? So all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that are already coming through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based off of the information coming through and your current life. And I will try to help however I can. So just keep in mind there are a couple of ways to make connections here, okay? So there's direct connections and then opposite connections. Direct connections is if you directly connect with the information coming through, versus the opposite connection would be something like, for example, if someone died in a past life of smoking, they would come back and be allergic to smoke or not want to be around smoke or can't stand the smell of smoke. You know, that kind of thing is just opposite because our soul likes to experience different things. So remember, whatever comes through, you have to connect, you gotta resonate yourself. If you don't, just don't force it to fit, just tuck it in the back of your mind for another time, because sometimes things come up weeks, months, year down the road kind of thing. Alright? Okay, so let's begin. So right away, what I can tell you is, we're looking at a male aspect. Gender doesn't matter when it comes to past lives, but this is definitely a male aspect here. And it really, what came through very quickly was the feel of like colonialism, I want to say. So I feel like we are looking at a Brit, essentially, even though where we're going here, the card here is the Americas. So this is, the Americas card is North, Central, South America, it can be any of those. And it feels like we're being pulled to North America, but this is like when it first started, like colonial stuff. And it feels like, I can't tell, like, specifically, but it feels like you could possibly have come straight from Britain and live in North America in this reading kind of thing, or you would be like, your parents would have come over and you'd be the first generation in America, but it's the kind of thing where it's like the accent is still there, the British etiquette is still there, the everything like from that time period. So I don't know the specific dates of that, but that's the time period we are dealing with. So what is, I should know what that is, but we're looking at like, what is that, like the 1600s, maybe like 17, yes, like 1700s, early 1700s kind of thing. Like it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like the what's it called, the American Revolution thingy, like has happened. It doesn't feel like there's a split yet. It feels like this is like full on Britain's, but we're in North America, so we're colonizing it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. History. So how you might connect with this right away would be, one, do you ever feel pulled towards that era, like the colonial era, the attire, the etiquette, the aesthetic, the culture, specifically the British part of the colonial era, the British part, because like there's other, you know, obviously I think the French were here and the Spanish and this and that, but like we're looking at like the British culture, the British people, that kind of thing. It feels like there's still a lot of pride here in the Britishness of the people living here, wherever we are. And I'm trying to see where we are now. I'm talking about it. And it feels like we're going to New England. Is Virginia part of New England? I don't think it's new. It's just what's north of Virginia? Geography. I don't know. Look at a map. But we're looking at like between Massachusetts and Virginia, somewhere there. Could be Massachusetts, quite frankly, because this feels like the hub. Like this feels like the place where you learn about it in school, like in grade school, when you learn about the beginning of the states kind of thing, or the colonies, I should say. So I think that's how we're going to refer to it from here on out, is the colonies. The colonies. That's what it feels like. Okay. So do you feel any connection to that time period, or again anything having to do with that time period? So we're looking there. We're looking. Okay, and then New England. If you've ever been drawn to New England and kind of thing, where you might like movies, read books, stories, hear about New England, but like the traditional New England, like, yeah, like traditional New England. So it's like almost like I want to say if you enjoy reading historical fiction or even history, like if you actually like learning or reading about history from that time period. And if not, that's totally fine, but that's just what's coming through right now. Let's see what's going on here. They're specifically showing me like the aesthetic though. Like, and there's a lot of like brown, white. It's like brown and white architecture. And there's something specific about the architecture of this old school traditional like British type of building structure. I don't know if you're into maybe architecture or the aesthetic of this specific architecture, which if you're not sure about it, I would go ahead and Google it and look at photos from this era of the architecture, and it's yeah, it's very specific. It's like white on brown, and I don't know, I mean, it could be so random where you're like, I want to have a house that is white with brown trim, or like something like that, you know? Or it could even be the clothing, like, so even the clothing are coming up where it's like specific, like the white shirt, excuse me, the white shirt thing, but then the brown, like, what are those called? Are they like suspenders? Suspenders, or the vests or something, like it's brown on white. I don't know. So connect however you can. I'm gonna get off of that subject. And if you can't, that's fine. Now let's see what's going on. Okay, so now I also want you to connect to the idea of the feeling of displacement, because it's almost like, well, maybe because it feels like, again, like there's something about the homeland being like Britain, and then you're here, but the colonies, they're so much like home because of the architecture and the people and the way the roads are and everything, but yet it's not home. So this would possibly connect in a way where if you ever had the feeling or have the feeling that you haven't found home yet, or it's almost like this is home, but it's not home. Almost like a feeling of not feeling settled down. Feeling like you haven't found the place yet. Now, this could be coming up, for example, in case you're thinking of moving, or if you maybe, I don't know, were thinking of moving, or it might be in the future where you're looking to move, I don't know. But this does speak to the feeling of like, it's home, but it's not home. So if there's like a little missing link in that kind of theme, when it comes to that theme in your life, that would be a connection. And if not, that's totally cool. But that's what's coming through, is this idea that even if he was born here, there's something missing, like as if it's like he's born here, but he knows that his ancestors are from another place, and that's where he, like his heart wants, like his heart is there in the homeland. But it's like almost like, oh, well, this will have to do, this will suffice. So if you ever found in your life that you've ever had the feeling of like settling, or you've had to settle, when it comes to like, I want to say, it's almost like if you were born to a family that moved around, or maybe there was a big move in your childhood or something like that, and you just had to go along with it. Like, I guess like how kids do. Like if you're a kid and your parents are moving, you have to go with your parents, and you just have to make that new place your home because you're not paying the bills. You know what I mean? So it's that feeling. It's like, well, it's not up to me, so I guess I just have to go along with it. So if you ever feel like you were in that position with your, I want to say like when you were younger with your family kind of thing, this also speaks to the idea of almost like a middle child feel to it. Possibly youngest child, but like certainly it does not feel like, if it does not feel like, okay, so what they're giving me is like when there's two siblings and you're playing like Nintendo, there's a first player and a second player. It feels like this aspect is the second player. It's like that feeling of like being the second player always, because the oldest sibling always got first choice at first player. So that's what this feels like. So however you might be able to connect with that kind of thing, I know that's kind of weird, but that's what's coming through. So there's that, and then if not, of course, just tuck in the back of your mind for another time. But if you do connect with that whole settling, going along with second player kind of thing, this would be a message for you that it doesn't have to be that way. And if you find that you are not assertive in certain ways that you might wish you were, or that that you might like wish you would have been, or you wish you were kind of thing, this would be a message for you to try to be more expressive or assertive in little ways, like just in case it makes you uncomfortable, let's say, that take baby steps to assert thing, even if it's just like, hey, I would really, like, I think we should have this for dinner tonight. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, even, it's just an example. Maybe you do, like, get to decide dinner every night, but just little things like that. And this, of course, is only if you connect with the thing, with that thing. So keep that in mind. What you did with the majority of your time. Next card, but keep making connections where you can here. So this card is the occupation card, or like jobs, whatever. And this is the science card. So yeah, this can mean like scientist, but science is broad, right? It can be biology or it can be computers, or not computers at this time, but you know what I mean. What this also indicates is utilizing the mind, and it also means kind of like a strategic mind, like being able to kind of put pieces together. And as I say that, it's the idea of like a puzzle, almost like, it's almost like a wood, like a, it's like a wood carver carving a puzzle and creating games. So there's something about this aspect here who creates games that take focus in order to complete. And it very well could be that we're looking at a puzzle maker. So what I'd love for you to do is Google when puzzles started. Because I don't know when puzzles were a thing, and it'd be really interesting if puzzles were happening at this time, or if they were in existence at this time. And if not, then we're looking at someone who is doing something like puzzles, and it has to do with wood carving, but it's about using your brain to do it. It's not purely creative, aesthetic, right brain stuff. It's left brain, like, oh, it's almost like, okay, so like puzzles, so it's not just puzzle, it's, you know those cool things people get, like, for your birthday? Like, have you ever seen the things where people get this mechanism and they put, like, you know, a $10 bill or $20, whatever, a dollar bill inside of it, and in order to get to it, you have to, like, maneuver it around. There's, like, a little metal ball in there, and it's like a puzzle or a maze, and when the ball hits the end of the maze, so to speak, when you figure it out, it unlocks it. That's what we're looking at, but it feels like we're working with wood here. So it's almost like you make these games, and it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like you make games, and you're a woodworker making games. Hold on, and then, wait, okay, like they're just like throwing in an image of Geppetto from Pinocchio. So it could also be you do wood carvings. It's almost like, I want to say, you have a toy shop. It's almost like it's like a very like old-fashioned traditional type of little shop where there's these games, and they're all like wood type of mechanism games, and it's really fun. It feels very fun. Now, what's interesting is this feels like we're looking at an only child, quite frankly. So it feels like the only reason that you were able to do this is because you are like the only child, and it almost feels like you were like a blessing, almost like your parents didn't expect to be able to have kids, and almost like they had you much later than usual. And it was like a miracle child, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like they were not expecting to have children, like they've been trying for so long, and then they had you. And so it's like almost like they let you do whatever rather than be like, you're gonna run the family business. It wasn't like that, even though now I'm talking about this, it feels like you get it from your father. Like, it's like, this is a really playful thing here. This is like a rarely playful thing. Like, it's almost like if it was anyone else, your parents were anyone else, you were born with siblings or anything else like that, like if it was like that, then you would have done something else, but because of the circumstances, you were allowed to kind of play, and you brought that into your work as an adult, and that's really, really cool. So this could speak that if your character is playful, like in life, like today, like if you are a playful person, or if you like games, or if you like even making games or playing games, or specifically if you like puzzles, or if you like wooden things that are woodenly like wood carvings, or if you like woodworking, I know it's kind of random, but like, here's the thing too. If you've never done that, and you're like, let's say you're like, what should I do now? I need a hobby, or I want to do something new, I'm bored, or things like that, I would actually recommend you just kind of look into wood carving or game making or puzzle making, or like look into old-fashioned games from like this time period and see if you connect with them, if they trigger you in an emotional way, like they seem familiar or they seem like something you want to hold or make or examine further, like that kind of thing, because this is really intriguing. Now here's the thing, the idea of this playfulness and the idea that this aspect was able to kind of take off on his own and create a life based on his hobby and his passion and creative passion feels like it's a message in it to make sure that you are paying attention to childish urges or a childish nature in a good way, like in a playful way, not like in an immature way kind of thing. I'm not saying that at all. This is more speaking to make sure that you keep that alive within yourself. And see, this person also deals a lot with children. Like, this person is constantly communicating with children. I would also say you would, like, if you're looking, not if you're looking for a career, I'm not saying change your career. I'm just saying, like this speaks highly of a very good, like, good teacher for young children because of the communication he had with them, because it was like he was one of them, but he's not a kid, but he's able to, like, speak with them. Like, he hears them, he listens to them in ways other adults don't. So these kids, so it's like, yeah, there's like, this guy's like, yeah, he's like a kid at heart. Kid at heart, there you go. So this would be a message to just keep the kid at heart alive within you. And also, I mean, this speaks about someone who would be very good at working with the youth. Even if it's like something like, what's coming to mind is like, even a camp counselor or something with the youth. And just in the case that you're looking around, or what should I do? Like that kind of thing. But you don't have to. But let's see what else is coming there. Yeah. Yeah, games, play. It's just, whenever I start repeating myself, it just means it needs to be like processed. So make sure you're just like taking that in some way. Hopefully you connect with that, and if not, stuck in the back of your mind for another time. But this also, one more thing coming through this is the idea that work and play do not have to be separate. They're not mutually exclusive. To make sure that you are bringing play into your work, and also to it's also the idea, like, if there's something you love to do that's creative and you're passionate about, that it might be lucrative in ways you haven't thought about. You might actually be able to make a business out of your creative side in ways you haven't thought. So just be open to that. Maybe, just kind of like think outside the box a little bit, but it also feels like it's like right in front of your face kind of thing too. Yeah, there's all kinds of fun little games in here. This is such an interesting little shop they're showing me. It's a shop on the street, like along other shops. It's, oh, you want to do something? Oh no, that'd be really hard to, I would think, I almost want to say, like, if they had records of places, like shops and businesses from this time period, like in the history book, like if they had kept records somewhere, where you can like look it up, it feels like it's in a prominent, like the main road in this place. And the more I speak, it's like, I just want to say, like, I really just want to say like Boston. Like, I just want to go ahead and say Boston. It just feels like it's like that main hub of the colonies that we always hear about. It doesn't necessarily mean it is, but it just feels that way. So if you've ever had any connection to Boston, but it's the aesthetic, it's that climate, it's that place, it's that kind of thing, and you're just like on the main road. But I know it's a long shot, you're probably not going to find anything, but it's just like, it feels like it was like a big deal back then. So yeah, and one more thing, I know I'm talking so much about this car, but it's so interesting what's coming through, because it's also like the idea that like your shop is so unique. Like, it's so unique because it's like the rest of the shops are so adulty, and then here's your shop and it's like the fun spot. And it's like, I don't know, in your current life, if you bring the light, I want to say the life to the party, but not like in a partier kind of sense, like, not like a party, like, I mean, like, light, it's almost like this person feels like he livens the moment up. There's levity to his character. Levity. That's the word, levity. If you can connect with that, that would be a direct connection. Now, here's the thing. The opposite connection to all this would be if you find that you're a very serious person and somber and quiet and almost like dutiful and just doing the job of the day and that kind of thing, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like this is more like someone who has lightness and levity and humor and playfulness and kid at heart like qualities. So that's what it is. And again, the message coming through is to maintain that. Don't let anyone tell you, if that's the case and you connect, don't let anyone dim that. Like, don't let any like puss-faced jerks say, "Oh, you're dumb," or you're too silly, or you're too, you know, immature. Like, don't let anyone, I'm not saying they are or will, I'm just saying, like, don't let anyone dim that if you're connecting with this childlike kid at heart thing, because this is where it's at. Like, this is awesome. Like, this is a great feeling. So we're gonna go to the first important day. Keep making connections where you can here, also understanding that science, it's so serious, right? But no, you make a game out of it. So it's almost like I want to say, if there's anything in your life where it is serious or it is like pulling you down in some way, there are ways and perspectives you can look at it to make a game out of it. Not that everything should be made a game out of, but almost like for your own like happiness or whatever. It's like you won't stay down long because of this perspective. It feels like this person has such a great perspective at life. So anyway, keep making connections, first important day. Alrighty. So here we have the birth card. The birth card can be like us watching a birth, or, you know, it's like your child being born or helping with a birth or whatever it might be. It can also be the birth of new ideas and new chapters, things like that. But it does come with the spouse card. So it really feels more and more like we're looking at this, that we're looking at the birth of your child. Let us see. Light of love. Okay, so this is the feeling card, the light of love card. So we're looking at the light of love card with the spouse card, with the birth card. So we are looking at someone who is beginning his family. He's beginning a family. He's having, it feels like the firstborn child. Let's see what's going on. And it's lovely because it feels also like, see, it's funny, I can't tell how young he is because he seems young, but I don't know if it's his young nature, but I actually think he's pretty young. I think he got married here. It seems like there's a union in having a child at a very traditional age of the time. That is the traditional part of him here. But I also feel like he was eager to do this, and I feel like he was eager to have children because just of his nature and what he does, he's just like, well, of course I'm going to have kids, of course. Like, it's almost like not even a question. So you might connect with that in your current life where you kind of always knew, like, of course I'm going to have a kid or kids or whatever, you know, like that kind of thing. Like almost like there's no question about it. On the other hand, the opposite connection would be if you're like, no thanks, I just want to take a break and da-da-da. Like, that would be the opposite connection. But it does feel like we're hitting, it just feels like, yeah, again, the kid at heart. Yeah, like, it's almost like everyone's like, well, of course he's going to be a father. Well, of course. It's almost like they were surprised you waited this long to get married and have a kid, even though it's quite young. Like, they're like, you know, it's kind of funny. It's like, that's funny too, because here it's almost like you're meeting everyone's expectations, whereas your occupation up here, what you do is not what is expected of people, or it was not expected. But here it is quite expected. So in some ways, we're seeing someone who is traditional. So that might also connect with you in some ways where there are some traditions that you hold dear. Or it could be that you are someone that likes to create your own traditions to hold dear, if that makes sense. So like your own unique traditions in that sense. Let's see. Trying to see what's going on. I mean, obviously it's an important day because your child's being born, of course, but I'm trying to see if there's anything else going on here. What's going on here? Yeah, no, it just shows like a very excited and supportive and lovely. There's nothing wrong with this day. It's quite, like, this life so far is like feeling really good. This is awesome. Yeah. See, there's usually a lot more like messages as far as like to help with things, but what I'm getting from this is you in your current life, you might be exactly on the right path where you know you ought to be, quite frankly. If that's true, that's the connection, then that's awesome. Like, it just feels that way. It feels like the only thing it could be is that this path is so lovely and wonderful and positive and smooth and whatever that it would only indicate in your current life that everything's going haywire, but I don't think that's the case. So, let's see what's going on. Yeah, it's just, this could also, I'd be curious, what it feels like on this day in your current life. If you have kids, were you in the room? Or were you part of the birthing process? Because it feels like this dude here was wanting to be as involved as possible. So excited. So excited. Hold on. I'm trying to get a feel of the spouse. I want to give you some details here about the gal. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so I can tell you about the gal. You were introduced to her at a gathering, and it actually feels specifically like the gathering would have been something like May Day. You know, like May 1st, how there was the thing where they dance around the pole, and I don't know if that's, you know, historically speaking, I don't know if they actually did that at this time, or, you know, because I know, like, that's like a pagan thing, right? But this doesn't feel like that. So I don't know. You might want to go ahead and Google and see if they celebrated May Day in the colonies, if the British celebrated that. That would be interesting to know, because that's what it feels like. It could be that there was a gathering for the spring solstice. Like the spring is here, and so everyone's getting together, and it feels like a communal eating thing, like a communal feast of the community. That's what this feels like. Or even like a festival. So how you might connect with that, for example, would be if you are drawn, well, first of all, if you're drawn to spring, we could just say spring. It could be, I'd be curious to know if you met your wife in the spring, because this is where you meet. The meeting took place because you were introduced, so you were introduced. It feels like parents and parents' friends. So it feels like, if anything, it'd be like, it's not an arranged marriage, but it was like an arranged meeting kind of thing. And it just, like, you guys hit it off immediately. Yeah, it was just like, and what's nice is the manner and characteristics of this gal, this woman, I keep saying gal because she's so young, is very similar to yours. Very youthful. There's a lot of youthfulness involved here, and it's like you keep each other youthful. So a connection also would be to how you feel about, I actually want to say like festivals. Like if you like going to festivals, but festivals having to do with something traditional. So I'm not saying like concerts. I'm talking about festivals like even like what's coming up is like mead, like that honey ale thing that like monks used to make. That's what's coming up too, is mead. So like festivals having to do with traditional things. It could be music, but it would be music that's like folk music. You know what I mean? Like where it's not just like rock out kind of thing. That's what this feels like. Okay, wait. And it's outdoors and communal eating. So also if you like the idea of like, if you were to travel, you know how the hostel, like if there's hostels, you can eat together kind of thing. It's like that. Like if you enjoy the idea of like communal living or eating, I just want to say like, yeah, family dinner, but it's even more than that. It's like family and friend dinner. Like friends are like family. So is that something, honestly, at this time with what's going on like in the world, you might, if you like that, this could be coming up in case you miss it, because not a lot of people, you know, are getting together, so to speak, are able to do that. So that might be something that you're looking forward to. And or also this could be coming through to let you know what might be a great first thing to do once everyone is like healthy and no one's gonna, you know what I mean, like once like the COVID thing is over or whatever. It feels like this would be something you would do. That's what this feels like. I don't know. But connect however you can. And the Light of Love card just comes in because it is just purely love. And it's just so interesting because a lot of, recently when it comes to like having children and stuff in these past life readings, I've been getting cards like torn, positive and negative, you know, like, okay, I'm having a kid, but I don't know how I feel about it. But this guy's like gung-ho. And this is just the first kid, and I don't know if there's going to be more, but it feels like it. It feels like they're certainly going to try. Like, there's no reason not to. It's like, I feel like this guy just wants his house full of kids. So, like, just like a, he wants to call it, what do you call, a brood. Like a brood of kids just running around like that. Like, that's happiness to these people, you know? So however you might connect with that. And then we're going to go to the next important day, but keep making connections where you can with this. And here, so the important day on this one is the graduation card. So this can be graduation, yeah, academia, but it can also mean like graduation of mentality and emotionality and spirituality and physicality and all the kinds of ways you can be growing and developing. And the relationship card here is the soul group. Soul group people, these are people that come in and out of our lifetimes time and time again, and we learn lessons from them. And most of the time, it's all lovey-lovey. It's not all the time though. Sometimes our enemies can be part of our soul group and they're here to teach us a lesson. And then here we have the pride card. Pride card, alright? Okay. This feels like we are looking at this aspect of you, this man here, and he's now more matured. And I say that in a way where we are seeing a silver, a salt and pepper thing going on, but more salt, but it's like what you call, I guess, like a silver fox kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, like, he's handsome and all that good stuff, you know, silver fox kind of thing. But it feels like we're looking at the graduation card in the way where it's like, this is later in life, and it's been nothing but expansion. So it feels like at this point there is a brood of kids. I mean, I feel like there's at least 3 or 4 children here, and it feels like this life, this soul group thing, more than anything, this feels karmic in a way where this soul has earned a beautiful life due to other lifetimes of doing good to others. So we're looking at what you would just call a good soul, a good person, like that kind of thing, right? So we're looking later in life. In this feels like an evaluation he is taking, and I'm saying that there's something else here because the pride card comes in because there's something where it feels like he is being recognized for something in the community or in the city. But that, to him, is nothing compared to when he looks at his family and he sees that that is his finest creation of all of the creations and games and puzzles and inventions even. This feels like he's an inventor as well, very innovative mind. But of all the years that he has been playing games and having fun and creating all these wonderful mechanisms and things, just all the time, we're looking at, it feels at least 2-3 decades have gone by, and still, and all he looks at his family and he's like, that is my greatest creation. And it's very emotional, and I feel like this is coming up as a message of perspective that I'm not saying you don't already, but to maintain your focus on the things that are most important, and to remember that when you feel like you are, if or should you ever feel like things are moving very fast and you don't have footing and you feel unstable in some way, or you're in a transition period where you don't know the next stepping stone on your path kind of thing, to focus on the things that are most grounding to you in your life, and that is you're going to be your loved ones. And I feel like if you kind of train yourself always to come back home, your focus, you know, your focus to come back home, I feel like that's going to ground you and make it so that you'll feel more sure-footed on whatever path you're on. And this can mean, like, let's say you're starting a business. This will keep you grounded. Even if it's not the business, this will keep you grounded in ways where it will ground the pathway for the business you're making, or if you're creating something, you're working on a project, you have to deal with an issue, you know, like anything, like an issue comes up and you have to deal with it and it's not fun. Come back home is what it is. Like the perspective, like just come back home and everything is okay. Like remember what's priority kind of thing. Like if you maintain focus on the priority, which is the relationships of love you have in your life, that is gold. That's going to, again, I want to say it's going to stabilize whenever you feel off kilter, if that makes sense. So keep that in mind, because it's all about perspective. Let's see. Then there's also the idea that's looping around with this pride card. Something is looping back to what I talked about before when I mentioned assertiveness. If you had connected with the idea of feeling like for some reason you're not assertive enough, or you wish you were more assertive in that kind of way, it would be this pride here in the family and in what you have created in this lifetime kind of thing. It's about like not shying away from, it's not about boasting, but it's not shying away from acknowledging your intelligence, acknowledging your creativity, acknowledging your steadfastness, acknowledging your humor, acknowledging your compassion. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there are these really great qualities you have, and we're taught to be humble, but if you acknowledge them, it doesn't make you less humble. It just means you're showing yourself self-love, and that's okay. And I feel like that will also aid in being more assertive. And I almost want to say it out loud. You know, like acknowledge your qualities out loud. I'm not saying like be like, yeah, I'm awesome, I'm the best dude in the world. Like, it's not like that. It's just like, wow, I've done really well here. I know what I'm doing. I deserve this. You know, I did well. Like, I'm a dedicated person. I'm creative. Like, you know, that kind of thing. Like, it's kind of like self-affirmations. And I feel like that will help with any assertiveness in the case that you feel like you want to go down that road of assertiveness, so to speak. So, yeah. So anyway, keep making connections where you can with this. This is really lovely. This is really lovely. Yeah. All right, we're going to go to the death. So this death card is a natural death. So this life is like so nice. Like, like you just die in your sleep and it's fine, and there's no pain, and you're fine, and you're an old man, and you have a full life, and you met your grandkids, and you're loved in the community. It's like, I don't get a lot of these lives, man. Like, I really don't. Like, so I really appreciate being able to do this, because this is brimming with just positivity and joy. It's wonderful. Yeah, so this is a natural death. If there's anything, let's see. No, this is that like ideal death, like where you're being taken care of by your loved ones. You're able to say goodbye in the way where, like, you know, people know you're getting up there and you're getting old, and like you're able to say goodbye. I feel like you have multiple grandchildren, many grandchildren. Yeah. I'm trying to see if the wife died before or after you hear. I can't really. I don't know if you died before or after, but I do know that you both passed within a very close approximation of time to each other, as soulmates typically do. So that's weird to say, but that's nice. That's lovely. Now let's go ahead and go to the lesson card. So this card is the compromise card, and the thing is compromise wasn't the lesson you had to learn here. It was like the non-lesson. Like, you were given a life here where you didn't have to compromise anything, in the way that you were able to do what you love to do, to work with your passion, to be creative, to also maintain a living and a decent lifestyle, to be beloved in the community, to have friends, to be, I want to say there's something very trusted about this. everything. Yeah, I mean, you were abundant, like, in everything that you wanted. And it's because your little soul earned it. I'm just looking. Yeah. So more than anything, this compromise card is coming through for you as a reminder in your current life that you really do not have to compromise big heart things that you want in life, because there are ways that you can get what you want and everyone can be happy. You just have to, have to allow it. Like, almost like I want to say, if someone is telling you there's no way, that's nice, okay, thank you, but look around and there's gonna be another way, okay? Like, don't get disheartened, I want to say, if you feel like an avenue or a road towards something you wanted seems to close, because I feel like it just means there's like a back way in, so to speak, that you just might not be aware of and that no one you know would be aware of, so everyone else would be like, no, there's no way you can go there, that's the only road there and it's blocked. But there's going to be another road. So I feel like that's where you just keep tapping into your creativity and just like trust yourself and don't let any external people tell you that the road is closed, if that makes sense. Because I feel like your current life, like, this life is so wonderful and you've earned it and you deserve everything, you know, whatever. This does not mean your next life is going to be crap. This does not mean you have to pay for a good life with a crappy life. Like, that's not how it works. Like, you maintain goodness. You didn't take advantage of people. You did your job. You loved people. You did right by people. You had integrity. So that's going to carry through to another life. It feels like the only karma formed here was with the wife and children, but karma in the way that is full of love. Almost like, wow, we had such a great life together, let's meet up again, you know, and have more fun, like that kind of thing. So, anyway, yeah, I mean, there's your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make some connections with some of the stuff we were talking about, and thanks for letting me read you.